D2 Word Life here, and I am back with a podcast for the first time in 2 years. And instead of it being known as the DNF podcast, as in the D2 and Friend podcast, this is going to be known as just the D2 podcast. And, well, I'm here with Riptidz, and we're going to be talking about... And in this episode, comeback episode, we're just going to be reviewing Fastlane 2023. At the time of recording, we just got done watching it, so let's get started. Now, the first match that was on this card was Riptidz and Jey Uso against the Judgment Day for the tag team titles. Judgment Day were the champions coming in. What's your thoughts about how this match played out?
Well, it was actually pretty dicey in the beginning because Finn Balor and Damian Priest actually had a pretty decent plan going on of just freaking isolating Jey Uso a lot.
That's great heel tag team strategy, though.
Yeah, and then Jimmy and Jay and Cody finally got into the groove, and then they started implementing their own plan of taking Damian Priest's legs out.
It's like, yeah, I thought the whole matchup before the ending was fairly decent, back and forth action, great tag team strategy that we've seen hundreds of times before, and more likely we'll see hundreds of times again. Just the ending of that match could have gone either way, except for one certain individual, which totally screwed the Judgment Day out of their win.
Yeah, but he has always had problems with Damian Priest since the beginning when Finn Balor said that he wants him to join the Judgment Day. Yeah.
And for those who don't know what we're referring to, JD McDumbass freaking nailed Damian Priest in the leg with his Money in the Bank briefcase when he was going for a move on the
Money in the Bank.
Yeah, when he was going for a move on the announce table and taking Damian Priest out after he got nailed with a crossroads because of the hit to the leg.
Yep.
Yeah, and then after I believe it was the disaster kick or whatever it was, plus the super kick. Or the super kick from Jay, Finn Balor went down, and there was new champions crowned.
It was the
or did he
for
hit him
the end for the finisher? It was basically kind of like the 1D, but it said it was like Michael Cole said, an elevated Cody cutter.
Yeah. Well, either way,
and then into the crossroads.
Yeah. But either way, we got new undisputed tag champions in Rhodes and Jey Uso, which, to me, this kind of feels weird. It's weird seeing Jey Uso as a tag champion again and his partner not being Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, but he wanted to go his own way, and he was originally going to leave WWE and go to AEW, but Cody Rhodes kind of sniped him back for WWE.
Yeah. But, either way, Rhodes and Uso are now tag champions. And that didn't make the Judgment Day very happy at all.
No, it is also kind of weird not seeing Cody Rhodes as tag team with his brother, Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also... So I thought this match, the opening contest, did its job. It got people wanting to see what would go on for the rest of the show.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was a great opening contest to start off the show. Okay. Next we had Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar with Selena Vega against Lashley and the Street Profits in a 6-man tag, and they had their little mystery partner going on. Which near the end of the match, that mystery partner ended up being Carlito. What's your thoughts on that short 6-man tag? It was the shortest match on the card this show, clocking in at only 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of an impromptu match with the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley versus Rey Mysterio, Santos, and their mystery partner that Rey Mysterio called Friday night. But I thought it was kind of dicey because we didn't know who was going to come, who was going to help them. And finally, that when the music hit, we all knew.
Yeah, for a good minute, I didn't think they had a partner. To me, for the majority of the match, it was a 3-on-2 handicap match until Carlito came out.
Yeah, Montez Ford was being cocky as hell.
Yeah. So, yeah, Carlito coming out, didn't really do much. He was there at the end, got the pin, hit a backstabber, got the pinfall victory, and there you go. It was the shortest match in the card. It could have easily been, in my opinion, it could have been. In my opinion, it could have been a match they could have done on, like, say, SmackDown or something. But you know, for that pop that Carlito got, that match pretty much everyone involved in that match did their job.
Yep.
It's not the most exciting match in this show, but that pop for Carlito was pretty much what helped it.
Yeah, when they heard his music go off, it fucking blew the roof off.
Oh, and can I pause here for a second? We got 3 more matches to cover, but I want to get a little insight, a little story. You were recently at a SmackDown show back on the 29th of last month. So, let us share your experience. So how about you share your experience with the listeners about that show real quick?
Well, I went with my friends, with his girl. We saw Rey Mysterio and Santos put on a 5-star match for the United States title.
Yep.
That was amazing. Then we saw John Cena was running late for the show, and they finally announced that he had landed in California, in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So he was late to the show, but when he got there, the roof blew off.
Mm-hmm. But you said, when you were sitting in the crowd, you said the biggest pop was LA Knight coming out when he was revealed as the partner.
Yes, when LA Knight showed up, the whole freaking arena was going. They were all saying, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much like that. Loud.
Yep.
And according to you, freaking hearing the loud chant on TV doesn't do it justice when you're there in person.
No, watching it on TV and being there in person, there's a big, big difference.
Yeah. Oh, that show must have been really good. For like 2 weeks straight, you didn't have your voice.
Yeah, I was yelling my head off following LA Knight chants and everything.
Well, like this, I really didn't do much like recording content for the last couple of weeks with Riptidz here because his voice sounded like a 80-year-old smoker that had like cancer. That's pretty much what you sounded like.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'll give the whole recording what we usually do a little break. So yeah, but at least you got your voice back now. It sounds pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm back to about 85%.
But yeah, either way, I bet you had fun at that show, SmackDown show.
Oh yes, it was a lot of fun.
Yep. But anyway, moving on with the Fastlane review here. Our third match on the card was for the Women's Championship. It was Io Sky defending against Asuka and Charlotte Flair in a triple threat. I honestly was watching this match expecting Charlotte to get her billionth championship, to be honest.
Honestly, if Bayley did not freaking interfere, Charlotte would have won.
So technically, Io Sky didn't win. Bayley distracted and made Io Sky win. We all know how that was.
Like she always does.
But, you know, before we give our thoughts about that match, let's just go through the match itself, like the highlights of it. Kind of like how it started with Asuka blowing the mist in Charlotte's face immediately.
that was kind of funny is that Asuka just freaking threw the mist at Charlotte right away. Not even 5 seconds into the match.
And I'm just like, Asuka just did what most of the fan base would love to do to Charlotte, but okay.
What, blower?
No, spit in her face, but okay. But anyway, this match could have gone either way. In my opinion, I thought it was one of the better triple threat matches I've seen this year, period. But yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was a very good triple threat.
There were times when I actually thought that Io Shirai was going to lose the championship here, especially at the end. Especially despite Bayley's interference, I thought she was still going to lose. Right?
Well, yeah, because Charlotte Flair had the figure 8 locked on Asuka, and she was tapping.
Yep. So technically, Charlotte should have won the match to begin with. But
yep.
But
if Bayley did not interfere more than freaking once, like she always does at every freaking pay-per-view and every show, freaking Flair would have won.
But, I understand. But then, because Io Shirai was able to hit the moonsault finish, pin Charlotte. Charlotte actually took the pinfall. That was another shock.
Yeah.
To retain the women's championship here. And
yeah,
I kind of
freaking blasted on her stomach, though.
Yeah. And I kind of understand why they went with this finish. They didn't want freaking Charlotte to lose totally. That's why she got the visual submission on Asuka, but they didn't want Io Shirai to lose either, which is why the interference spot happened. So I'm thinking this is just going to accumulate into another match, one-on-one match between Charlotte and Io Shirai in the future.
Most likely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that story develops. We'll find that out in the coming weeks, what they're going to do with that, if anything.
Yeah, I hope they do something good with it.
Yeah. Yep. So, honestly, I thought the triple threat was a good match. Ladies always seem to, the women always seem to wrestle probably sometimes better than the men with their matches. So,
yeah, I would have still liked it better if Bayley didn't shove her big fucking face into every match.
Yeah, but a triple threat, it's no disqualification. There's really nothing the ref can do. Anyway.
Yeah, but she was literally trying to get into the ring.
I mean, hell, if the referee can't do anything about Asuka spitting the mist in Charlotte's face at the start, there ain't nothing he can do when Bayley's interfering for this triple threat either.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then we get to the big tag match that everyone was looking forward to heading into this one. It was Cena and LA Knight versus the Bloodline, which was Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa with Paul Heyman. And before we even get to this, talk about this match, God, did you see how Paul Heyman looked? He's aging quick.
Yeah, it looked like he aged 40 freaking years in freaking one day.
Yeah, and even the freaking commentators were talking about that too. Saying, yeah, he's going to be stressed out, especially if the Bloodline loses.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if he shows up Friday night completely bald.
Well, since Roman Reigns isn't there on Friday nights a lot, he has to take control over the Bloodline.
And after what happened on SmackDown with the Judgment Day trying to merge with the Bloodline as well, acknowledge mommy. I don't know. I don't know. It's I don't know, man. This is going to be an interesting story, but let's talk about the match itself. The Bloodline was in control over John Cena for the majority of this match. Using the same, heel tag team cut off the ring tactics. This ain't surprising. John Cena's been feuding with the Bloodline for 20 years at this point.
Basically.
Yep. Yeah, but in the end...
He took a lot of punishment.
Yep. It's like, yeah, but in the end, Cena got the hot tag to LA Knight. The fans go crazy. LA Knight does his thing. Cena hits Old Skull with the attitude adjustment, or the FU for us older fans. And LA Knight hit the blunt force trauma, I believe, on Jimmy and got the win, causing Paul Heyman to probably rip more of his hair out, what's left of it. So your thoughts on that one, on that match?
I thought it was one of the best matches John Cena has been in a long time.
It's like, yeah.
He was going to fight them all by himself until LA Knight put himself into the bloodline business.
Yep. You know, this match was good. Yeah, then after the match, LA Knight raised John Cena's hand this time, a little nod after what happened last month on pay-per-view.
Yep, he was gesturing to the greatest of all time.
Yep. And LA Knight did pretty well for himself not in this tag match. Not bad for having a partner that no one can see. Yes, I have to talk to meme every time I get a chance to. So I thought that tag match was all right. So which tag match do you think was which tag match do you think was better? Did you think the Bloodline and Rhodes and Uso was better, or did you think Rhodes and Uso versus the Judgment Day was better, or did you think Cena and Knight versus the Bloodline was better for tag matches tonight?
Well, I think they were both good. I still like John Cena, so I'm going to go with John Cena and LA Knight versus the Bloodline.
Yeah. But yeah, it was both matches were good. It's like both matches were good, but it seems like the Judgment Day and the Bloodline both got their asses kicked in this show.
Yeah, well, we're going to see what they decide to do on Friday, if Roman will think about joining forces with the Judgment Day or not.
Yeah, but in that time of recording, it's been announced that Roman Reigns will be on SmackDown this Friday night for being seen for the first time since SummerSlam. So we'll see where that goes. And I just got 2 words for you. Acknowledge me.
No, bro.
Sorry, I gotta do that joke. Which brings us, and with that being said, we go down to the main event. It was for the World Championship. It was Seth Rollins defending against Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match. Honestly, one of the best last man standing matches I've seen, and obviously this one was the match of the night. No contest. But first of all, let's get your opinion about it. This whole last feud match, the main event.
It was a fire-ass match.
Like, what are some key moments that you thought stood out?
Well, when Nakamura was trying to take out Seth Rollins' back, but Seth Rollins just kept coming.
That could be interpreted in different ways, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but he also tried to freaking do the stomp on his ass when he freaking was on just the metal, bottom metal of the steel steps.
It's like, yep. And no matter what Nakamura did, Seth Rollins kept getting up, kept getting up. And to add more drama to it, even Michael Cole on the announcement was just yelling at freaking Rollins, "Stay down! What are you doing? It's not worth it." Right?
They didn't want him to ruin his career with his back.
Yeah, and the way it ended with that Falcon Arrow to that table out in the crowd, by the way, I thought that was pretty good. But before we get to the finish, yes, Seth Rollins retains, but let's talk about some other key spots. What were you thinking when Rollins went out through that table and the table didn't break in the corner the first time?
Oh, when Nakamura set up the table to put Seth Rollins through it?
Yeah, and the table didn't break. I'm thinking, what the heck?
I'm like, what the hell? It didn't break. What the fuck?
That's a fail.
That was a fail of a table. That had to happen in fucking
And yes,
19 or so years.
Yep, in the second, and of course, when Rollins got thrown into it a second time, then it broke later on in the match.
Yeah.
Finally, it did its job, but but the scene I want to talk about, what stood out to me was when Seth Rollins, I believe it was the second time, he tried to jump off that ladder to put Nakamura through the announcer's table, only for Nakamura to get up and shoot that red mist in Seth's face. And when Seth went down, landing through the announcer's table, lying there with red mist in his face, I seriously thought it looked like a murder scene. Because that red mist effect did look like blood all over his face.
It looked like he just had his face busted open.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's a good visual. But either way, I think that was a great fight. Honestly, it could have gone either way. For a second there, I was thinking Nakamura was going to win, but that didn't happen.
Well, I think it was that Nakamura was supposed to win, but I guess that they changed their mind and just wanted Seth Rollins to retain the title for just a little bit longer.
But yeah, either way, that match to me was the match of the night, and I think it was a good way to close out this Fastlane show. I mean, hell, if you haven't seen it, go watch it for yourself. Us talking about it can't do that show justice. Even if you're just going to go back and watch one match, the main event would be the one you want to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like I said, it was one fire-ass match.
So, all in all, what would be... So, after we just talked about all the matches for this show, what would be your final grade from A to F for this Fastlane 2023?
I'd have to say an A.
And yeah, and for what reason? What matches stuck out to you the most?
Well, the matches that stuck out to me most was basically it kind of was cutting close with Rey Mysterio and Escobar when Carlito finally decided to show up without giving notice just to surprise everyone. And it was a big surprise that Cody Rhodes and Jimmy, even though they had to form the tag team out of necessity, that they won the titles on their first night as tag team.
Let me correct you there. I know you meant to say Jay, but it's almost impossible to tell those two apart. But
yeah.
But yeah, I know what you meant. For me personally, I give Fastlane my personal grade, my personal thought. This is my opinion here. I give this show a B. All the other matches were good, but that 6-man tag, though, like I said, it was only there for the pop. It doesn't really. It felt like to me a match that could have been on SmackDown. But
yeah, I said, I'm not gonna get mad about it because everyone has their opinion. Everyone can write comments if they want and say what they thought if they saw the show. You don't have to agree with us.
Yeah, and but to me, that's just a small nitpick. That and the match could have been longer, but because of how long the main event was, I understand why that match was short in length.
Well, like I said, it was kind of an impromptu match because they decided to do it at the last minute on Friday night. And Rey Mysterio said, "Oh, I'm going to call someone," because they were going to cancel the match.
Yeah.
And I think they were going to wait a week or wait until Friday to have the match.
But yeah, that match, if it wasn't for Carlito returning there, getting that pop, then it would just be a match that just felt like it was there. It was just there to fill a slot.
Yeah.
But besides that, all the other matches on the card hit. But like I said, if you were going to go back and just watch one match from the show, I would recommend the main event. The long last man standing main event. That was the match of the night for this show, in my opinion. Pretty sure you would agree with me on that one.
Yes.
So anyway, that does it. This was our review of Fastlane. I think our next review is going to be next month when Crown Jewel comes around, and oh god, that's another Saudi Arabia event, and we know the reputation those shows had over the years.
And they're a little iffy.
Yeah.
But before we end this, what do you think of Pat McAfee when he showed up on the pay-per-view and was being a commentator for that match with John Cena versus the Bloodline?
I thought it was a pleasant surprise. We haven't seen him in months. I think the last time we seen him was at WrestleMania.
I just loved how he just freaking... No, the last time we saw him was 2 weeks ago on Friday night when The Rock came back.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't watch SmackDown, and I totally like missed that one. I seen the review show, but I wasn't paying that much attention to it.
Yes, but still, I like the fact that he put Corey Graves in his place.
Yes, all in all, this show for me, it's good. I recommend this show. And as Simon Miller would say from Walt Culture, I would give this show an up. What about you?
Yep, I do the same.
Yep. Anyway, next podcast we'll cover Crown Jewel next month, or if we have any ideas for a podcast in between, we'll do that. But until then, we'll like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later. Peace.